Welcome to Unspoken Layers, Elena. So, I met Elena through a mutual friend, and I was noticing that Elena was, first of all, very kind and considerate. Then she was asking these very thoughtful questions about career, motivation, AI, and storytelling. So I immediately thought that Elena would be a very good guest for this podcast. So therefore, here we are. So in this episode, we'll explore her journey through personal and professional. And I'm super excited for this conversation. So let's dive in. And first of all, Elena, can you tell us a bit about where you grew up and some of your early experiences and how those experiences shaped who you are today?
Yes. So, first of all, thank you for having me, Mangshi. I'm very excited. And this Elena you're talking of sounds very cool. Yes. But yeah, I can say the same about you. I really enjoyed our first meeting a lot. I could tell you're a deep thinker. I really appreciated that, and I really loved your answers. So I'm very excited for today.
Yes, thank you.
But going back to your question, I'm originally from Romania, and in the last decade, I lived in 6 cities and 4 countries, but it all started in a small village in Romania, actually, called Hiojdu.
Yes.
And life was very simple there, and then I ended up in London, for example, where I lived a few years back.
Yeah.
And I feel like every time you move, regardless if it's a new flat, a new city, a new country, it's a new beginning to a certain extent. And I feel like that really promotes growth a lot, if you want that.
Yeah.
And in my case, I was really lucky and intentional as well to do all these moves, which really helped me to get closer to knowing myself.
So let's walk through the places you've been. You said you've been to London. Did you go to London right after Romania, or
Yes.
how? Yeah.
Yes. So I used to live in Bucharest, and I worked there for 5 years after I finished uni, and I worked for Asahi and Coca-Cola.
Oh wow.
And then I moved to London to work for another beer company.
Okay. Yes.
And yeah, that was when I was 24, so 5 years ago. Oh, I just turned 29. I still need to get used to this.
No. I'm older
closer
than
to 30.
I'm older than you.
Very good skin.
But
Very good skin.
thank you. I want to say something. I felt like I was more anxious when I was 29 than now I'm 30.
Interesting.
You know? Yeah, but we
What
can
makes you
get
say
into.
that?
Yes, I just feel like, okay, we're here now. What what then? You know? But before I was like, oh, by 30 I need to do this and that and that. But if I don't do this, I'm a failure, kind of. But now we're here, and I'm just accepting that, okay, I'm here, and I am like this, and I am here in my life, and let's take it step by step, kind of that mentality. But
I love that.
yeah. I don't know. I heard many people have said that. Yeah, so I would say, like, don't worry. I just really felt like I achieved peace.
Oh, I love that.
At
I love
30,
it.
you know. Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense because I feel like life is only getting better with age.
Yes.
Because I don't miss my early 20s, for example.
Yes, me neither.
Because
It's
you're so
chaotic.
it has its own beauty.
Yes.
But I feel like the more the time passes, I get to know myself better. I get to understand myself better, and just life overall is getting better. I'm actually looking forward to my 30s and my 40s and my 50s, and I'm sure every decade it's gonna have its own beauty. And it's also, now with AI, I feel like our life is going to change, and it's changing so much. And in terms of quality of life as well, we're probably going to be able to have very comfortable and mobile lifestyle until our 80s, 90s. So I feel like this is another layer of seeing your 30s, because before maybe your health started to decline, I don't know, in your 60s, let's say. I think now it's going to start probably in your 80s or 90s if you take relatively good care of yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think,
We're actually
you just-
teenagers.
Yes, by old standards, we're
Exactly.
teenagers. I don't feel I'm old. Anyways, we touched on many good subjects. Let's walk through them one by one. So, you finished your university in Romania. You worked for a few years.
Yes.
And it was in marketing.
Yes,
I guess.
It was from the start in marketing.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
respond after.
So what led you into marketing at the first place? And I think you're still doing it.
Yes.
And so you must be enjoying it.
Yes.
So what led you to that at first place?
So I worked in a university a bit as well, and I did a bit of marketing too for a small fashion boutique. So I had a bit of an idea of it, and I've also studied a bit of marketing in university too. But then I got into this management program at Asahi, where basically they were taking you through multiple departments.
Yeah.
Sales, marketing, trade marketing. And I feel like marketing was the one that stuck the most. I really liked it because I'm quite creative and it has this creative side of it. But in the same time, I'm analytical as well. And marketing, it's about numbers a lot. So it resonated with me, which I'm very happy it did back then. And I did predominantly brand marketing in my career in Romania and both in the UK. But now I transitioned into digital marketing, into performance marketing.
Okay.
And I have a whole story about that as well and why I did it too. But if I would have to summarize your question, the reason why I got into marketing is because the analytical and the creative made a good mix for me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
The analytical point you brought up is kind of surprising to me. Yeah, I think we will get into
Yes,
that.
please do. I'm curious to hear about it.
And the thing is, you studied it and you were interested in it, and was the career of it as you expected?
Yes and no, in the way that, especially in the media, marketing is portrayed as, this very cool and creative job, which is not the case all the time. Most of the day you have a lot of mundane tasks, you work in Excel, you have meetings, you present. Of course, it has the pinnacles as well, where you have a really cool event or you have a really cool launch, but it's not all rainbows all the time. You have to do the nitty-gritty as well. And I feel like media doesn't necessarily expose that. But overall, I still think it's an awesome career. I really like it, yeah.
So let's get into the analytical aspect. What do you mean by doing marketing is a lot about analytical? Because for me, it's almost like because I'm not, I don't have a background in marketing, but my impression is marketing is about telling stories and fancy advertisements. What's the analytical part of it? Yeah, can you explain?
So, of course, the essence of marketing at the end of the day is storytelling, which I love. But in order for us marketers to be good storytellers, we need to know our audience very well. Because what's important when you're telling a story, your audience needs to relate to it, to resonate with it. You need to make it personal. In order for you to be able to do that, you need to know them. And that means data. You need to understand their behaviors. You need to understand what they like, what they don't like, why they would pick your product. And of course, this can go very, very granular. To give you, for example, to give you an example for this, we need to do consumer research among other things when we're launching a product or relaunching a product or anything in that spectrum. And we have different methodologies that we can use, and we have quantitative, consumer research, and also qualitative consumer research.
Okay.
And for example, a quantitative consumer research is doing a survey. You can usually use an agency, and we're talking about, of course, depending on what project, you can buy a huge survey, and the agency just approaches your consumer target and they deliver that survey, and you're getting your data back, which is quantitative. Maybe you get 10,000 forms back. And from that, you notice some patterns, you understand some trends, you get some insights about your brand or your future brand.
Yeah.
And this would be on the quantitative side. But you also can do something that's very deep dive in the realm of qualitative consumer research, like an ethnographic study. And what that means is, for example, I used to work in the beer industry a lot. And we would have had a mediator going into a house of a target consumer and literally observe, not only because you would say, yeah, but they drink beer, big deal.
Yeah.
But it's very important for us to understand all their habits. I mean, okay, they're drinking beer, but why do they drink beer only after work? What kind of beer do they drink? What's their economic situation? How is their family? How is that influencing their habits? What is their availability? What's their financial availability? And everything is connected. It's very important to have a very holistic view on it.
Yeah.
And to go back to your point, it's very important to have data about your audience, because that's gonna translate with other elements, combined, of course, into a great story. Because if you don't know your audience, it's hard. You're stabbing in the dark to tell a good story.
So since it's telling stories through the data of the
it sounds
preference.
quite cold when you say it like that somehow, but it's true.
You need, and like almost I can picture this mind map of person A, like is connected to these traits and these preferences, and then they're also connected to others, and like how do you create a story that appeals to this person's preferences, and then like then he will want to buy the product, I guess.
Yes, and I feel like buying the product is only a superficial layer, to call it like that, in the way that you want your customer to relate to your product, to really like your product, to make a difference in their life. Buying is just the first barrier, to call it like that. But ideally, if you want a healthy brand that's going to last for decades, you want that resonance. It's very important.
Yeah. So this is touch on a good point that I want to ask about, is about the authenticity in marketing. So where do you draw the line between, the brand emphasizing on its strengths and being misleading? And is it even important to always be honest and always, or exaggerate a bit and only show your strengths?
So, of course, it's a very nuanced topic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to approach it quite generally. I think honesty and authenticity in everything is very important, but especially in marketing, because it's so competitive pretty much in every industry now. And everybody is trying to be so picky. And there are actually a lot of trends that talk a lot about customization and personalization. So you need to be very authentic and customized for your target audience. And I feel that this is such an important thing to cut through everything, because there are so many brands that are just talking without saying anything. Sorry, go on.
So sorry for your interruption, but I feel like sometimes we see these obviously exaggerated marketing, but if it's attached to a trend or something. Like there are still people willing to be paying for it.
Yes.
So yeah, how do you draw the line, and is what's in your opinion if that's okay, or like
Personally, for my values,
Yes.
it's not okay. But in the same time, I understand, because depending on the industry, you need to, and in general, you need to have a good mix of explaining your values, which are an evergreen content, to call it like that, and jumping on certain trends where you can exaggerate or maybe even lie, although I don't agree with it,
Yes.
from time to time. But I think that authenticity is very, very important, because maybe if you're exaggerating and you're lying, okay, your customers are going to buy the product and maybe it's going to work for a while. But if you do that constantly, it's not going to generate a loyal fan base. So it's not, I feel like it's thinking small. It's not thinking on the long run and creating a solid base for your brand.
Yeah, it's like the trust between
It all resumes to trust.
people are not stupid. People, well, I think it's hard to like manipulate your audience for a long time and and not having ever to find out.
I mean, realistically speaking, it's everything is manipulation. I know manipulation has negative connotation, but here is not necessarily all the time the case. Of course, there are cases where it's negative as well, but you need to.
It's like
to give you an example. When I was working at Coca-Cola, we were launching a lot of new products. Like we were launching even 70, 80 new products every year. Although we knew they wouldn't work out. And I remember asking, why do we launch so many products? We know they don't work. And the reason why was we need to educate the market. We need to introduce them slowly. We need to give them a taste of it. So it's educating people in certain categories. You're preparing them.
Yeah, so let's touch on the storytelling aspect. You said marketing is in the sense, in its core, about storytelling. Why do you think that is? For example, if a brand has like fancy technology, but there's not a cohesive story behind it, is that okay? Sometimes you can see brands flashing their I have the most advanced technology, but then in the end they don't have a story behind it. Would that sell?
So that's the thing, because in order for us to discuss this, we need to discuss about the goals. What's the goal of that company? Is it only a technology company that's only going to sell to, I don't know, let's say only to the government? Is it a company that's going to sell to consumers? Like it's going to be B2C, not B2B? Where would you want to advertise it? Because you can have the most brilliant, amazing, performant, you name it, product. If you don't advertise it adequately, nobody's going to see it.
The narrative behind it.
Yes.
I guess it's that to have the resonance with people.
Yes,
because
go on.
I feel like people see things through stories, and they would want to connect with the story in order for them to be convinced. Or whereas if you only have flashy technologies, maybe it will still appeal to some people. I don't know. What's your opinion?
So I love that you use the word connect, because that's what I think storytelling is. It's the art of connecting. And that's what it does. It doesn't deliver only information. You just said, flashy technology and all that. It delivers something more than that. It makes you reflect. It makes you think. It makes you relate to that story in particular. So if we were to talk about technologies, I would think first of all about my audience. What's their level of technical knowledge. And I would take that, I would try to understand them more than that, but this would be like the main aspect. And I would try to take all the amazing features my technology has. I would try to understand what their needs are, what the needs of my consumer target is, how they like to be spoken to. And then you have a story in the middle, and you deliver, okay, I have this product. This is what it can do for you. This is how it can make your life better, for example. And you build your narrative around that and around how your audience understands you, if that makes sense. You need to speak their language.
Yeah.
You need to pick your level of technicality, for example, in this context.
Yeah. So on a more personal note, what does storytelling mean to you? What type of stories are you most connecting with?
So I love a good story.
Yeah.
I really love a
Yeah,
good
I
story.
remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so what is a good story for you?
Oof. Okay. Let's see. So, first of all, it's very important how you say it, because you have different dimensions. You have words, you have images, you have gestures. As you can see, I move my hands a lot.
Yes.
So it's a holistic view. It's not only the words you're saying, it's how you're saying it, the tone of voice, your hands, or for example, now you're filming, how you're filming it. All these elements make a big difference. And as I said earlier about when we were talking about technology as well, a good story for me, but in general as well, it's making that information that you have in a digestible format for that person.
Yeah.
I think the best way to answer this is to just tell you a story.
Okay.
And it's actually about this notebook.
Okay.
Which you can look at it if you want to. Oh, I love it.
I love a notebook.
Right.
Yeah.
And the paper is so good as well.
Okay.
And
I need to show you the notebooks I made also.
Oh,
Yes,
you made
I
notebooks.
made, yes.
I'm very excited to see them.
Yes.
Are they
It's,
from
they're there.
are they from wait, I
But-
wrote it down. Are they from carbon fiber?
No. No, but tell me the story about this
Okay.
notebook. Yeah.
So it's very nice because it's related to community as well, which is a topic that I love as
Yes.
well. So my birthday was recently at the beginning of December.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
My last year of 20s, in my 20s. And
No
very
stress.
exciting. I recently met someone that I consider a dear friend by this point. And he knows that I write a lot and I journal and I have a fountain pen as well. I like writing, like the act of writing as well. I enjoy it a lot. And for my birthday, he gifted me this beautiful notebook and also this pen, actually, because this is the pen that he's using to write as well. Although I prefer...
Pilot, yes.
Yes, it's really nice, a Japanese Pilot.
Yes.
And it's the 05
I
one.
know, I know Pilot. Yeah, I know they're... Yeah, I'm also very into pens. So.
I have a beautiful Lamy fountain pen.
Oh,
Next time we meet, I'm gonna bring it. It's
okay, yeah.
art.
Sounds good. Nice.
Yes.
Yes.
And amongst other things, he gifted me this notebook, and it has a very good story.
Okay.
It's from a small bookbinding shop in London,
Okay.
and for each binding combination, it makes a limited number of notebooks. And this one, for example, was part of a 300 series of notebooks. And this is the 135th.
Oh, okay. Can I see it?
Yes. And actually, you can read the first page of it.
Ah, this was also written by...
I don't know if I should ask
it's
my
not
friend.
by you.
No,
But
it's not by me.
probably by, someone who
Yeah.
made this book. Yeah.
Yes. And I was thinking, because I work, although I live in Luxembourg, my office is in London.
Okay.
And I flew to London the next day after I received this notebook. And considering the notebook is from London, it felt appropriate to write in it from London. And I actually wrote it from the airport. I wrote something very short just to acknowledge the moment. And I said, Heathrow Airport, 6th of December, gate 9, waiting for my flight back to Luxembourg. it felt right to start writing here in London, given where my new notebook was made. And doing it in the airport makes sense too, since I already miss Luxembourg. Because I love Luxembourg so much.
Yes, it's so many levels
Yes.
of alignment.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you see it, it's just a simple black notebook.
Yeah.
It's maybe it's nothing special, but when you think about, like, he told me such a beautiful story about it, and I have nice memories connected to it now, and I plan to, like, for example, I said that I'm only gonna write in it at like special occasions. For example, today my notes for the podcast are in here.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
And although it's a simple black notebook, this story makes it so special for me. It makes it so personal.
Yeah, it makes me think of value. Where is value really is? Because is value like the money I pay to buy this paper? Or there's something deeper in there? You know, like something, for example, you just said this notebook is a black notebook, right? But it holds a special value in your heart, and for you would probably pay like a lot more than a black notebook to have it. You know, if I take it away from you and then tell you you have to give me 100 euros for this, you would probably be more willing to pay for it than any other black notebook out there. So it makes me think of like this idea of what is really value. Value is not just numbers. I think value is also behind, like, what's the layers behind the numbers and the stories behind the numbers, and those are, I feel like those are relationships and connections, and
of course it's the story.
Yes, and that's so important that that's like, this is something I really like. I think for the past year I've been really reflecting on.
Nice to hear that.
More than the practical value we see, like the value behind and the layers behind each object, the value you cannot see.
Exactly. Yes. I like how you describe this. But I feel like we're very tempted to see this through a very transactional lens. What's the monetary value of it?
Yeah.
Which is, of course, very important. We need money to continue with our life. But I feel like this connects very well with the storytelling aspect of it, because you are open to pay a lot more for pretty much anything if you get an experience out of it. For me, this notebook, this is an experience. It's connected to writing, which is something very personal to me, and it has a very cool story behind it, and it's connected to this very cool pen. Where's my pen? It's here.
Okay, yes.
Speaking of value.
Yeah.
So the money, the transactional aspect of it is just something very, it's something very superficial. And to connect it a bit to what we were talking earlier about branding as well, and being honest and telling a good story, that's where the value lies. Because in marketing we have this concept where, okay, you need to have a very good product, but besides that you need to have a very good price. This is another aspect, but you also need to advertise it really well. If you have an imbalance in these, and there are other areas as well, but this would be the main three ones, to say it like that, which is relevant for this context, it's probably not going to work. Because even when you nail all these areas and the other relevant areas, you may fail. So it's a balance that you really need to strike between having a very good product, having a very good price, which is appropriate for your industry segment, you name it, and having a very good story as well.
So it's almost the surface level, the price and the product. is the manifestation of the story, the values behind it. And yeah, oftentimes
Nice.
people don't see what's behind it as much as, okay, they see the surface. Some people stop there, which is often, I think, yeah, like what actually is the value is like layers behind.
Yeah, the
And then-
value. Yeah,
yes.
the value that you give it to it. I really love how you said that the product and the price is just the manifestation of the values of the brand, because this is
Yes.
how a brand should be. You should have an idea, you should have a concept, and then materialize it. I feel like a lot of brands just come up with a product and then they try to fit in the puzzle pieces,
Yeah.
which is may
Yeah,
work.
which is the reverse way of
Yeah, I mean, it may work as well. I'm not
Yes.
saying it's not gonna work, but if we're tying it to honesty, to authenticity, the way we were talking about it earlier, I think it works better like that.
yeah.
You put your soul into it. It's your idea, and then you develop it. You develop. I don't know if you read the Creative Act by Rick Rubin.
I heard about it. Yes.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite books. You should give it a go. It's very nice.
Yes.
And he talks about these seeds in the creative process. And I feel like seeds being when you
Yeah.
come up with an idea and you're really weighing your options, and that's when your art gets born, I guess. And I feel like this should be, if we make a parallel to what you said, this would be the value of the brand when you come up with the concept, and then as you develop and you go further into the creative process, you end up with the product, you end up with the price, the placement, and all that.
It's all like the I use this word again, the manifestation.
But it's a very good word. It's very
the core
appropriate.
of, like what you bring out on the surface is a reflection of what you are at the core. And I feel like almost if you're not being honest, if the product is not being honest, then it's also a reflection of your core.
Of course.
So if you're aligned and honesty is important, I feel like you almost have to manifest it in an honest way.
Of course.
And then,
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What is honesty for you?
Yeah, so honesty, I think, is not simply like, okay, I'm it goes deeper to me. I think after some reflections, it's really like the alignment of how you carry yourself with your values. And if they're aligned, then I'm being honest. There are also different ways of carrying it out also, like for example, if I don't like something about someone, I should not try to like too directly say it to their face. Like there are ways to like deliver this honesty without like
To be true to
to be-
yourself and them.
yes, but it should still, I should not be deceitful. I should not deceive them, like telling them I like this, but in reality I know I don't like, or so I think it's about alignment of my values and my actions.
I love that. You
Yes.
can tell you thought about it before.
Yes.
What do you
Yeah.
think people that are not honest to themselves, are not aligned with their goals, go through or feel?
I think first maybe they're immature or young. I think when we're young, when we're younger, it's harder because we want to fit into like our peer groups and what the cool people are doing, kind of. but at some point, I think when one reflect on themselves of the long term, I think being honest is the best long term solution to have, yeah, to it's good for you, your psyches, and the people around you. And if we're not being honest, like almost like the parallel between the storytelling, if you're not honest with your own story, then you don't have a solid foundation
To connect.
to, yes, exactly, and the relationships you build would not be based on honesty, and that's not, that will not bring fulfillment, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think
Yes.
people who are still not being honest with themselves, yeah, I think they're missing something that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
genuine connection. Yeah.
yeah, and it's quite sad because I'm sure there are a lot of people that probably don't even realize that, and I feel like I was in that loop when I was, and I'm sure I still am doing that. Probably I'm still not honest with myself in some regards, and I'm not even aware of it.
Yes.
For example, I'm
Yes,
really
yes.
trying to be open-minded about it, but it's sad because, especially because of social media and consumerism, I feel like you're always, oh, I want to be the best, I want to just to strive super high all the time, or just to have unrealistic expectations. And I feel like that definitely extrapolates in our honesty to our own selves as well, because if we're, I wouldn't say that we're surrounded by lies, but we're surrounded by so much influence that you were talking about your 30s earlier. You need to have everything figured out by 30. You
Yes.
need to be successful. You need to have the perfect skin. You need to have all this, and you're surrounded by all that pressure, and you're always, oh, okay, I need to be this, I need to be this, and you neglect yourself, and you end up not being honest with yourself.
Yeah, I think at one point we have to switch from like this type of short-term thinking to like to really look at ourselves and what is good for me long term. Yeah, and
I agree.
that will be able to bring more fulfillment, and the relationships we build through that will be based on solid foundations.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
so it's very important. Yeah,
and I think honesty is very important for growth as well.
Yeah,
because personally, I haven't always been very honest or very open, because again, I think this is related to getting to know yourself as well. But now one of my main goals is to be very honest to myself. And what I mean by that is, for example, I journal a lot.
Yes, it's very helpful.
Yeah,
yes.
it really is. And I try to be very truthful when I'm analyzing myself, my qualities, my shortcomings, and it's a lot harder than said to do it, because it's very easy when it's just you and yourself to neglect some, like to be, I'm actually fairly good at this, or because you don't have that external benchmark or just a compass, so it's very hard to be truly honest and to be harsh on yourself. But I'm purposely trying to do that, and journaling is helping, and meditation is helping with that a lot.
Yes,
Definitely. Yes. Enlightenment. And in order to do that, and in order to truly embody that, I need to be honest 360. I need to be honest with everything and everyone, and I'm not succeeding all the time, but that's my goal, and I really try to focus on that, and I see an immense difference and also future potential in this.
Yes, and yeah, I first of all congratulate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think this this journey of self-discovery is like incredibly important, and everybody is on this journey. I too am honest. I'm on this journey, and we will never be perfect. That's okay, but it doesn't stop us from like continually.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
don't have like, even if you slip,
Yeah,
let's
and
say, it's important to get back on it.
yes,
Just
and
continue.
you don't need to do it all at once. Also, yeah. So, but yeah, starting the process, actually, this is where personal growth comes from. I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, being honest with yourself. And yes, so congratulations.
Thank you. Likewise,
Yes.
I would say. I really
Thank you.
liked how you tied honesty with inner values.
Yeah.
I really resonated to that.
So let's go on a lighter topic. What suggestions, advice would you give to me and this podcast regarding like marketing? I mean, I'm doing it right now for myself because I want to connect. I want genuine connections, and I want to create a space for that. But what, in terms of marketing, do you think I can do with my limited time? And
Okay.
yeah.
So let's see. Your main goal is to create connections.
Yes, connections, and yeah, hopefully later able to have a audience. Yeah, that connects with me. Like this idea of community.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you want to form a community as well.
Yeah.
And the main topic is life. Well, it's too general. Let's try to streamline the topic a bit. What would you say the essence of your podcast? What would you like it to be? Because it's still new.
Yes. So I'd say it's called Unspoken Layers, right?
So cool.
Thank you.
I have it here in my notebook.
Yes. Yeah. So
very cool name, by the way.
Thank you.
10 points for it.
Yes. Yeah, so to build connections, genuine connections. And I do think that as people, connections are important, but I don't feel like everybody has this type of mind. Yeah, so I want to like kind of capture these people who care about these topics in life.
So should we call them deep thinkers?
Yes.
And people that want to grow, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess you want to offer them new perspectives, I guess?
Yes. New perspectives, how different people see life, and there are different ways to look at life, open-minded, and
like
honesty and authenticity.
Okay. It's helping me to see it visually. That's why I'm writing it down.
Yes, I love I love that you're writing it down. Yeah.
So wait, going back to audience, so deep thinkers, it was something else. I didn't get to write it.
Deep thinkers,
people passionate about that want to grow.
Yes, growth.
Okay.
And it's not just personal, it's not just financial growth, it's personal growth, spiritual growth. Just like they can define how they want to grow, but the genuine ethos is like growth.
But I think first of all, I love the title. It's so good. Unspoken Layers. Since you mentioned it, I was like, that is such a good name for a podcast.
Thank you.
I would definitely listen to it.
Yes.
I'm already imagining what kind of logo you can do. We can talk about that too.
Yes.
But I think it's very important to define very well your topic.
Okay.
Because okay, it's important to you can talk about many topics and different kinds of growth, but I think it's important to have a fairly established direction.
Okay.
For example, I don't know, but yeah, honestly, it's probably not a broad enough context. I guess you would want to talk about other topics as well, but personal growth would be a good one. And it's very important in marketing to have something that's called USP, unique selling proposition.
Okay.
What do you bring to the table that other podcasts don't? And of course, there are so many podcasts. It's such a competitive area that it's going to be hard to bring something 100% original.
Yeah.
But there's something that we need to find there.
Okay.
That really differentiates you. And I love, because from what I see and from what I suspect your first podcast was as well, everything is quite natural. You have your structure, but it's not
flowy,
something static, which
yes.
is very nice. I really like that, because authenticity, and it creates good stories and so on. But still, I think it's important to define the direction, yes, and to have the direction fairly well structured. And of course, this is just the beginning. I love that you started it.
Yes,
awesome.
it's important.
Yeah,
I think that's what I do really well. Like if I think of something, which I think you are the same type of person. I wanted to
go on.
Yeah, so if there's something I want to do, I do it the next day.
Oh, I love that. So actually,
there's no barrier between me and action.
I love that, because that's how you learn. In my case, I sometimes plan a lot, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I sometimes get overwhelmed, and I sometimes postpone to take action because I get overwhelmed about all the planning. But it's something that I'm actively trying to do, to be a lot more action oriented. And thank God my current job is very action oriented. So it's a very good lesson for me. But you don't have to answer now about this, but I think it's important. We can discuss this after the podcast as well. We can I can actually help you with this properly.
Nice.
Of course. But it's very important to define your topic fairly well and to identify this unique selling proposition. Because once we have this, we can start detailing the audience better and the essence of the podcast. And then after we have all this data, because at the beginning of the podcast we talked about data, we can start investigating even more data to see where we can find your audience and to understand how we can advertise to them. Where do we find them? What resonates with them? And the reason why I'm not giving you now an exact answer, you need to do A, B, and C, is because it's important for us to...
I love that.
Yeah, it's important for us to define this, and then we'll be able to create a solid plan, because you like the word intentional. It's very important to be intentional, and that's why it's important with the topic in this case to define it fairly well. I mean, of course, you see our discussion as well goes from one topic to another very easily, which I love, this fluidity, but the core should always be there. And I think you're going to be able to define this after maybe you're going to have a few more podcasts. And you're going to get a better feel, because it needs, first of all, to resonate with you. You need to like what you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
Which looks like. So
so now I think I started a YouTube channel, and it was about AI. And then
we need to talk about
yes. And then after a while, because the development is so fast, and I just feel like, okay, I'm just like doing news reports about AI now. And that's not sustainable to me. And I feel like,
why isn't it not sustainable?
Because I like AI, and I like the technology aspect of it, but because my job is also like coding and stuff, and at home I'm also doing the same thing.
I love this. You should definitely, maybe you can add like a picture in the video for the YouTube. That is so cool.
Yeah, and then I'm
so many screwdrivers. How many do you have?
I bought a set.
12,
and then it just came
21 screwdrivers.
You're pretty fast at counting, by the way. Yes. Yeah. So it just felt like another job, and it doesn't connect to me deeply. I think to have something sustainable, I realize I have to do something I really like deeply care about, and not to tie too much into like, okay, I have to do this. Yeah. I mean, obviously there are things I have to do, like set this up and do some edits, but I think before it was deviating from the core of me as a person.
Why was it deviating for the core review though? What was the part that was deviating from that exactly?
Yeah, so I think I felt pressure to always talk about the new AI product that came out. And you know, I enjoy deeper reflective content, like
And this was quite
yes, and
selecting the new.
yeah, that felt more surface level. Oh, like OpenAI just came out with this new feature, and then that video like expires in 2 days. You know, like in 2 days you have another feature, and then okay, I have to do it again. And then I was like, okay,
Quite overwhelming, as well, I guess.
yeah, and then everything has to be about AI. Okay, I like AI, and I like technology. But
I can tell.
yes, yeah. But if everything become like, okay, I have to do the cutting edge of this and that, then yeah, it's not reflective enough. Yeah,
I understand. Because I need to organize my thoughts a bit, because I have a whole theory about AI and how it's gonna evolve and all
yeah,
that.
yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes. So, how I was gonna ask you, like, has it affected your job and your domain of work, AI?
Massively.
Okay.
Massively.
Okay.
Because we're like, a simple example is that before, if I had to write, I don't know, PR article, for example, or any kind of copy, it would have taken me a lot longer than it does now. Because now just I write down a skeleton of the thing that I want to write, and then I add the meat into AI, and then I just fine tune it until I have the final version of it. And this is just an example. I can use AI a lot with, I don't know, email automation or with keyword research, many things. It still needs a lot of human input at the moment. You still need to be an expert in your field in order to cut through to cut through all that information. But I'm so much more efficient. I'm probably making the job of, especially in performance marketing, which I'm doing now. I used to do brand marketing before, but I'm probably doing the work of 3-4 people compared to what we were doing in marketing in general 5 years ago, for example. It's really a huge difference in terms of speed and efficientness. And I love it, to be honest. I love it so much, because I know it can be very overwhelming and it's a lot. And I hear a lot of people being like, oh, we're never going to be able to AI to replace us, which I think it's a bit ignorant, a bit oblivious, because AI is going to replace a lot of the things we're doing.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest,
great.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we can go on a scary apocalyptic scenario with it as well, but I think it may have some huge benefits if we're optimistic about it. And to talk particularly about marketing.
Yeah.
Because I actually journaled about this a while back.
Okay.
Because what we're bringing as humans into marketing at the moment is originality, because we can actually create original ideas to a certain extent. AI can only gather the past information and create something from that, which we do as humans, as marketers, very often as well. You have the ethical perspective as well, which we can also bring to it. And There was a third component. I think I wrote it down. Let me check it out. Um, yeah, go on.
So I get the sense maybe authenticity becomes even more important.
Authenticity was the
Yes.
third one.
Okay.
Did I mention it? I
Great.
didn't, no?
You did.
No, authenticity.
Because what you were saying
Yes.
reminds me of.
Nice.
Yes.
Great
We
minds
get
think
each
alike.
other, Yes.
But yeah, authenticity is the third
Yeah.
one. But actually journal about it. And what if AI is going to evolve to an extent where it's going to be able to be authentic? And for example, when it comes to authenticity, you need to be able to understand cultural nuances, for example, something that I need to understand in my current job as well. Or you need this part of ethical compliance as well, because you need to train the AI in that direction. But if it's going to end up to be able to do that, imagine it's going to be able to predict trends, for example,
Yeah.
and also create new products and experiences that are highly personalized on a specific audience.
Yeah.
And on top of that, imagine that it's not going to have any bias. Only if you're going to train it to have a specific bias, it's not going to have probably creative blockages. It's going to be much more performant. And I actually wanted to say something that really inspired me. I saw it somewhere around 1 year ago, I think, that we're moving from an era of information into an era of knowledge, which I think is so powerful because we have so much information now, and we built on this in the past decades. And now we have AI, and this is related a bit to what I said earlier about data as well. We have AI that can help us analyze all this data and see patterns and just form strategies next, because strategy is actually something also where people are still very useful when it comes to marketing. But if I were to speculate for, I don't know, 20, 30 years from now, when it comes to marketing, or even more, it depends how things will evolve, or less. I think we may end up in a situation where we're not going to be creators anymore. We're going to be curators.
Okay.
AI is going to be able to create this, talking about marketing, but
Yes.
it's going to be available
In general.
yeah.
Yes.
AI is going to be able to create these amazing products, these amazing experiences, and we're just going to act as curators, which I find it very interesting.
Okay.
Very, very interesting, because ideally, in a positive scenario, AI is just going to improve our life more and more, and we're going to become more and more efficient, and we're going to reach this state where we're going to focus a lot on strategic thinking and being creative and curating art or products,
Like
projects.
Director of a lot of AI agents.
Yes.
That helps you to actually do the dirty work, I guess.
And instead, because, for example, I hear a lot this argument about, oh, people don't know how to write anymore. And I understand it to a certain extent. For example, I'm very glad that probably both of us, we grew up when internet wasn't, I mean, I didn't have internet the first years in Romania, first of all. And on top of that, even when it got bigger, when I was like in high school, it was not even near to the extent that it is at now.
Yeah.
And okay, we had like, I don't know how the school system you grew up in, but in my school system in Romania, we had to write quite a lot and analyze text and books and all that.
To write by hand, copy with my pen and pencil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I find that very useful. It really helped me a lot. But and everybody says that, oh, these kids nowadays, they're not going to be able to write the text without AI. And why would they? Why would they, when you can just do like, for example, let's take an example. Let's say you need to write a thesis about something, yeah? And you have the main ideas, you write them down, then with the help of AI, you're going to put the meat on those ideas just to formulate them better. And the advantage versus, you're still using your brain, you're still the main director behind that paper.
Yeah.
But the advantage with AI is that you're going to be able to do that so much faster. You're going to see the idea and you're going to be like, I don't like this. I'm going to change it more.
Mm-hmm.
What if I talk about this? And it's going to be able to give you that information instantly to see if you can actually take that to to completion, to actually integrate it in your paper.
Yeah.
And it's just so much more efficient. You're, instead of focusing on actually putting all the words in and detailing that idea, you have the AI doing that, and you're focusing on the big picture part.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah. But do you think people will become lazy if they don't need to think that? Because human nature
Seeks comfort.
Yes, and laziness. And I almost feel like you have to go through that hard work and like, because you are at the level now that you can push yourself because you did all the hard work. Do you think this will push people maybe haven't gotten to this point yet? Like they might be to like take it for
Too
granted.
superficial.
Yeah.
And be superficial with it. Be like, the first version.
Yeah.
Let's use it. Actually,
take it for granted.
Yes, a small parenthesis. I see a lot of brands, especially on social media, and you can tell when you read the copy that's
you can
that was the first version ChatGPT gave you, like the first version. Like you can see the patterns and all that. But I think it's a huge danger, and especially now in this transition period, to call it like that, because maybe our mindset is gonna change, which I hope, to see this as a tool rather than just something that you trust 100%.
Yeah.
But ideally, I hope people are gonna be there. I don't know how this can happen, but I hope thinking is gonna be encouraged somehow. And for you to, and this is
go back and forth.
And always I have a very specific word in mind. Give me a second. Always challenge. In general, but especially when it comes to what AI gives you back, always challenge that and always go deeper.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy.
Yeah.
Because let's take the school system as an example. Let's say you need to write a paper. You can go on ChatGPT, put in a short prompt, and you get the whole paper. So it's very easy to do something like that. It depends on you if you go deeper. But I hope that areas like this, like at school, for example, the homework is not going to be do a paper on this topic. The homework is going to be something a lot more complex.
Yeah.
That you still need to use your mind a lot more, even with the help of AI.
Yeah.
But I hope the level there is gonna go higher as well.
Yeah. I think we need a lot of foundational work in that area to really think, what does thinking hard mean now with these tools? That's so
exactly.
Powerful. Yeah. So you, looking ahead, you said last time that you're trying to future-proof yourself in your careers. How do you think, like, in what ways are you doing that, and what strategies do you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think that I said my speculation about the future with AI, that we're going to become curators, but in the near future, I think we're going to end up, not only in marketing, in a lot of industries, I think we're going to end up in this point where everything is going to be so streamlined, we're going to be so efficient that we're not going to be able to focus only on a specific area. And to give my personal example, okay, I have this experience in brand marketing and how to grow a healthy brand and how to nurture it and all that. And now I made this transition into digital marketing. I'm doing performance marketing, so organic, paid, and all that part, in order for me to be able to tackle multiple areas of marketing and to be able to maybe work for myself and become a consultant later, which is something that I'm thinking about for the future, or even if I will work for a company, I'm going to be able to bring multiple sets of skills. And with the help of AI, I'm going to be able to do all those in a relatively short time. So to conclude this, I think first of all, I think we're going to have to become very adaptable, because things are going to change very, very fast. And when it comes to work in particular, we're just going to have to do multiple things in the same time, because of the efficiency AI gives us.
Yeah, I think adaptability is very, very important, because things are changing so fast now that we really need to be really very, very good at learning new ways of doing things, and not too attached to specific tools. And more attaching to the identity. I think.
Yes, that's a very nice way of putting it. To be aware of your core and to adapt, to be fluid. But how is it? Do you mind talking a bit about robotics, your field? How is AI impacting that? And your job per se as well.
Yeah. So I think it's funny. I want to bring up this funny joke that we were told that AI will be able to do the boring, like mundane task of folding our clothes and housework, and we will be just drawing and drawing and writing. Instead, AI start to do the drawing and writing, and we still have to do all the. So in a way, like it's harder to actually have AI doing robotics use, because for a human, okay, I pick this bottle up, I drink it, and no problem, so easy. I don't need to even think about it. But for like to make a robot do this and like feed me water or something, it's like incredibly hard. Like in my field, in robotics manufacturing, I don't see AI can immediately take our jobs yet. Because so much about making things is really to understand the craft. In order to have AI automating that craft, it has to have enough training data about making something to actually replicate it. But the thing is, we don't understand, okay, if, for example, I'm a swordsmith from Japan, and we don't have enough data of making, like, how to make a master katana. That, like, how much to force to put on the material, on the blade each time, in order to forge like a perfect katana. So I think there's just too many variables in making something that we don't understand enough of. And the thing is, in manufacturing, if you develop a process and you can repeat it a lot of times, but to make the first prototype, it takes the most time. But I think AI is not able to really go from 0 to 1 yet.
Interesting.
And we don't really understand enough about how to collect, what these data mean. Like, it's like you said about marketing is collecting data and telling stories through data. Like, manufacturing is also about data, but these data sometimes are too intangible and people don't really understand the manufacturing data, and it's much slower. So
Are you using AI into something at the moment? Like, for example, do you leverage ChatGPT when you do calculations? I mean, I read that the O2 now I saw they launched the O3 as well.
Yeah.
Can do really advanced calculations and thinking in general.
I think we use a lot like ChatGPT for coding.
Oh, fair enough.
Yes, it's so good for it. I didn't really have a background in like computer science, but I felt so happy that it can write complex code. So then I kind of can use it as a leverage. Now, if I know what I want, they can write the code instead of like, okay, I'm not this person who's done computer science for 10 years, but now I can use something else that can code really well. And as long as I know what I want.
Yeah, and you know how to filter that out.
Yes. Yeah, so it's been super useful in terms of that. And I'm also much more productive with ChatGPT, probably similar to how you feel. Like I'm so happy because what I care about is my output, and AI has increased my output by like 3-4 times. Yeah.
Nice. And is there a specific area that you would like to improve when it comes to robotics? Is there something that would really help you at the moment with your job?
Yeah, so I think the dexterity of robots is not enough yet. Because, okay, with my hand, I have a lot of degrees of freedom, and I can make whatever. Like I can feel how much force I should put on things.
Okay.
But with a robot, it doesn't understand if it should crush the cup or like it should pick up it. Like what's the appropriate force to put? Yeah, so the dexterity is not.
It's not there.
It's not there. It's not enough.
That's so interesting. I would have never thought about this.
Yes. Yeah. So if we think about how we're making things, like when we make something by hand, like you can feel that, but robot doesn't know.
Okay.
So how do you program that? And having them to learn, okay, this is the appropriate amount of force to hold a pen, and this is the appropriate amount of force to hold a cup. For us, it's intuitive, but or we learned through like experience,
trial and error,
and it's easier for us, but for a robot, like how do you program that so that the robot can understand what's the appropriate,
or not even understand, just executes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dexterity of so that aspect I think is missing a lot. Yeah, so and then right now like our robotic systems are quite dumb because you
compared to humans, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, so as in like, okay, I program it to go there, it will go there, but it doesn't understand. Well, there are research that's being done in terms of helping robot to understand how to do things, but you know, like the general field is lacking. Yeah, so I see that maybe I can contribute in that area, but I still don't know how exactly. I just know like, okay, I like my job and we're going to work on an AI project that improves our own workflow. I'm not exactly sure yet, like how I can apply. Yeah.
But
I
it's nice
know-
you have a direction. That's
yes,
really important.
that's the direction, and I know I'm aligned in this direction with my job, and we're working on an AI project that improves our workflow. And the outcome, like, okay, just trust the process.
Nice. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing this.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
for
a really
asking.
interesting perspective.
Okay, so we're talking about work and relationships.
Mm.
Yeah, so I want to ask you. You mentioned last time that there was the critique story you talked about, and you gave a critique about someone's work, and they took it personally. So, how do you approach these interpersonal challenge, and where did you learn about it? Yeah.
Okay, so this is a bit related to storytelling.
Yeah.
Because you need to know your audience really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like regardless of the topic that I'm approaching, regardless if it's a difficult or a light topic, I always have my audience in mind. And in this case in particular, if there's tension and I need to approach a difficult topic, I'm always thinking, first of all, I'm thinking about my needs. I'm thinking about, let's say it's something that bothered me. I'm thinking about that. I'm making it very clear for myself first. I'm very honest to myself about what bothered me and why. Then I'm trying to think about their perspective, and to speculate a bit why they would do that. And I always have a positive view on it. I'm always assuming they had a positive intent. And then I confront the person or the group. And I always try not to offend in any way. I always say all the details regarding myself in the way that, let's say there was a situation, a comment, let's say that bothered me. I say, okay, you made this comment. I mentioned the comment. I say afterwards, this is how it made me feel. Then I made a suggestion. I make a suggestion of how I would like for this to happen in the future, and also I try to understand why they did that. I think it's very important to clarify why they wanted to do that, and I think these would be the main elements. To be very clear of what bothered you in a non-violent way. Actually, there's a really cool book I read on this. It's called Nonviolent Communication.
Ah, yes.
I mentioned it when we met as well. It has a very cool structure. But of course, you have to personalize it on each situation. But I think it's very important for you to be honest with yourself. Make it very clear how you saw the situation and what bothered you.
Yeah.
Try to understand their perspective and offer a solution. It's, for me, it works, I would say 99% of the time. It's really good.
Yeah. So it seems like with these situations, it's important to show the other person that you're on the same team.
Yes,
yeah, you're not
that's
trying
a very
to,
good way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not trying to
Show them.
yes,
Yeah.
or to, yeah, but you're trying to help and make a solution together.
Yeah, you should focus on finding a solution, not blaming.
Yes.
It's just not efficient. It's
Yeah.
not effective. It's from a return of investment
Like,
perspective.
yeah, why
it's-
would you
Yeah.
do that? But I think sometimes we tend to when we hear something that's not good about us, we tend to get defensive, and
I think
that's
it's natural.
very
Yeah.
natural and human nature. And
But we need to work with that. That's
Yes.
why we need to think.
yes,
Yeah.
and I think that's something we all learn once we enter society and we have conflicts and during relationships or work. Yeah, we all need to learn, and because we need other people.
Of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
at work, you're always a team, and you can go further by having two people together
Of course.
instead of
Communication is so important in so many areas of our life.
yeah.
But how do you approach this kind of situations? What's
Yeah.
your view? I think we discussed a bit about
Yes.
it last time too.
I think. Let me just double check. Okay. Yes. So I think I wasn't good at it before.
Me neither, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm still not brilliant at it, so.
we can talk about
Yeah.
how we learn. Yeah, so I always thought that, okay, when I was in my early 20s, I thought, okay, I don't need it, which was stupid. And
It wasn't stupid. It was, let's
was
call it
young.
naive.
Yes, naive and young, because I was in school, and I was in school. I'm working on my own project. Nobody need to bother me. Like, okay, this is my project. Okay.
These are my screwdrivers.
Yes. Yes. So what's the point of, like, okay, you don't like what I'm doing? Okay.
Leave me alone.
Yes, leave me alone. That was my attitude before. And then I think then I entered this phase of like kind of extreme communication. It's like, okay, zero, all in or nothing. Kind of like took it black and white a little bit. And I'm learning now that, okay, like there are ways to approach things. That's not like you don't need to you know, set everything like super perfectly in order. Like I should allow some like tolerance. Yeah, so now a more matured me will think before I speak. Yeah, so I realized we talked about this, like we all have a reaction, and then we have like emotional reaction first, and then we go through our logical mind in the end. And if we react too fast without going through our logical mind, it could become a disaster.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
where the ego is.
Yes. Yeah, so sometimes we don't even understand why did we react that way. But it is just a reaction, and sometimes it's not really what you truly want to express. At least for me, like I can notice that there is a me in the back observing my reaction, and I'm like, me in the back was like, what are you doing? Stop talking.
Go home.
Yes, exactly.
Reflect.
Yes, exactly. So I noticed, okay, I'm reacting too much. And then now, okay, after reflection, I'm like, okay, maybe just calm down first and then think about it. Like how you were saying, like really figure out what's bothering me, and try to communicate in a way that the other person can receive. Because if I go directly like, you're bad, you're wrong,
It's your fault.
yes, it's
You
your
don't
fault.
know.
Yes, it doesn't work.
Yeah, but I think it's important in the same time for us to be kind to ourselves, because that's instinctual, and sometimes it happens. Maybe sometimes we're unprepared for that kind of I don't know, comment or situation, or you name it.
Yeah.
But I really like how you said it, that you have the you in the back of your mind,
Yes.
the detached version, the enlightened
Yes.
version, trying to see the situation in a neutral way, which I find so important.
Yeah.
So important.
Yeah, so I started to, I think in terms of communication, this is area I'm actively trying to improve, is to, first stay calm. And really, reflect and then communicate. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. And really go back into like thinking, okay, why did I react this way?
Ooh,
also,
yes.
Yeah, I think looking at that area really helped me to understand myself.
Of course, you're
lot
collecting
more.
data.
Yes.
And if you do that long enough, you're starting to understand, oh,
Yes.
I think this is why I'm reacting like this.
Yes, usually it connects back to some childhood experience.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, definitely.
that got traumatized.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, I have a whole theory about trauma as well and how it can be useful to a certain extent. And I'm not talking about extreme situations here, of course.
Yeah.
But it's so important to reflect, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy for us to numb ourselves with our phones, our laptops, social media, even meeting
Yes.
with people.
Yeah.
It's really easy. You can go on like that forever.
Yes, I think the brain tend to find distractions.
In comfort.
Yes, and comfort. And okay, sometimes I know, okay, I don't even like spending time with why am I doing this? Because I don't want to feel alone, because if I'm alone, like I'm start to go into this yeah. So I'm really trying to learn how to deal with that now, and go into like not be too afraid of facing those as well. Yeah, and it helps
Definitely.
with communication and
Of
connecting
course.
with others.
Because you connect to yourself,
Yes.
first of all, better. And I feel like once you connect to yourself or you start the process,
Yeah.
it's much easier to connect with others because you know your audience, which in this case is you.
Yes.
So it's easier
Exactly.
to express yourself.
Yeah. Yes. So speaking of connecting, what are the most important things you look for in friendships or relationships? Yeah.
So the first one that comes to mind is intellectual stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
I love learning.
Yeah.
I always like to understand things or
Yes.
to have different projects outside work as well and at work as well. I just take interest into a lot of things. So I like to be surrounded by people that are curious. And that doesn't mean that we need to have everything in common. It's quite the opposite.
Yes.
But I think curiosity
Yes.
is something very, very important for me. Very important. And something that I appreciate a lot as well, which I actually consider you to be very curious. I still
Yes,
can't believe
I'm
you
very-
built this table. I love that,
Yes.
by the way.
Thank you.
Something very else that's also very important is kindness. And although maybe some people would see it as being weak to a certain extent, I find it to be quite the opposite.
You're the opposite. I feel like men have that.
Maybe, yeah. But
Yeah.
actually, this makes me think about a bit about what we were talking about earlier about conflicts, and this is a very good example of how being kind, I guess, is a sign of being actually very strong, because in order to not react
Yes.
impulsively
Yeah.
to someone doing something negatively to you, you need to be very kind, because you really need to be patient and to understand their perspective, and to try to assume that there wasn't something malicious behind it. And I think that requires a lot of inner strength, as I'm sure
Yes.
you're aware.
Yes, exactly.
It's hard to do it.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot easier to blame it on someone else.
Yeah.
So kindness is very important as well. And I'm trying to think of a third one, but I think these are the main things. I mean, of course, there are
About
many
like
other
personal commitment to personal growth and
Yes.
authenticity.
But I feel like
Something.
yes, authenticity would be a very big one, because I feel like personal growth is somehow related to curiosity, but it deserves a category on its own. Now that you're mentioning, definitely. But authenticity, yeah, because for me personally, honesty is a very important value, and as I said earlier, it's very important for me to be honest towards myself and towards others. And in order for that connection, that friendship, that relationship to to be authentic, you need to be honest, because that's the only way in which you can actually form that deep, genuine connection. So if I would have to streamline it, it would be curiosity, kindness, passion towards personal growth, and authenticity.
Yes, those are very important.
Yes.
Like, I think exactly
I
the
was about
same
to ask
for
you.
me. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I think I went through an intensive self-reflection period to like really pin down these qualities I'm looking for in people in general.
In general,
like,
yeah.
And I really have to be in that environment to thrive. I think.
It's important.
Yeah, and I felt like, I don't know how you have been, but I think almost spent my time, like, I almost didn't intentionally look for these. So I would just like, okay, I have friends from different and don't necessarily have these qualities. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not fulfilled after a while.
Intentional.
Yes, I weren't intentional. And then like after I felt, okay, why am I so unfulfilled? And then, okay, I have to really like write these things down in my journal
and reflect on them.
And reflect on them and really think of, okay, where can I find these people and what signs should I look for? And how do I approach also, like how do I learn to like dig from people to find out if they have.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. So when you were asking those questions, I noticed
the lunch we had.
The lunch we had. Yeah. So and then I was like, okay. Yes.
I like her.
Yes. She's interesting.
I was the same with you.
Yes.
Robots.
Yes. Is it something that you also reflected and wrote them down? And did you also, I don't know, like, did you also spend time with people you didn't enjoy?
I actually relate a lot to what you were saying. And I feel like growing up, you just have your childhood friends, which is everything is location based, to call it like that. You have your friends from the neighborhood that you play with. And I feel like we're not necessarily guided to be intentional with our friends. I mean, in my case, my parents gave me some guidance, like, okay, you need to try to be with people that, for example, you like drawing, try to be with people that like drawing. They gave me a bit of a direction, but it wasn't a lot, which I think people in general don't receive. I mean, that's the max you can receive in general. But I also ended up in my 20s, for example, hanging out with a lot of people that, I know it's going to sound a bit transactional almost to a certain extent, but people that I wasn't getting something from. And I'm not talking materialistic, but I'm talking about, I don't know, an intellectual exchange or an emotional exchange. And of course it has to be vice versa. It needs to be
mutual.
And I wouldn't call it necessarily an exchange, but there need to be there needs to be something
back
cohesive.
And forth.
Exactly. And I had the same reflection. I wasn't fulfilled because I like talking. I'm an extrovert. I always meet people, and I feel like we have a finite amount of energy.
Yes, exactly.
And I was just I was just spreading that towards everyone, which was very nice. I learned a lot from it, and I met a lot of amazing people that maybe it was meant for me to just meet them once, have a great conversation, and that was it. Or almost waste time with other people. But I see everything as positive because I learned a lot from it, and now I'm a lot more intentional.
Yeah, I think the aspect of, yes, we have limited energy is also very important, because I mean, early 20s, you feel like you can live forever and time is limitless. Everyone is interesting and I can learn something, which is true. Like, still, I think everyone has a story
Mhm.
to tell, and everyone are interesting. But okay, first of all, I cannot live forever. I only have, like, realizing the limitation of what I have is important.
Of course.
Yeah, and then
And realistic.
yes, be realistic of how much energy I actually have, and then okay, maybe I shouldn't spend time with too much time, like with people I don't identify like
Yeah.
with. Yeah, yeah. So that was important.
Of course. And I feel like everything is connected because you said about being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, a question just popped into my head. Did you do this set?
Yes.
That is
I
so
made
cool.
this.
I was looking. Is it also made from the? Of course, it's also made from the
No. This is not carbon fiber.
carbon fiber.
This is 3D printed.
And the material?
Yes.
It's what is it?
With that machine. It's plastic. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
Sorry, I saw it and I just it clicked in
Yes.
my head. I was like, oh my god, she made this.
Yes.
But yeah, what was I saying? Friendship, relationships, connecting.
Intentional.
Intentional, yes. So I think it's very important. I like that you mentioned the word intentional a few times, and I feel like when we met for the first time, you said it a few times too, and I was like, oh shit, I like her. Because I think that once you have very clearly defined goals in your life,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot easier. Like even this process of the people you're surrounded by, it gets easier because
Yes.
you know your goals, and if they don't align with that,
Yes.
don't waste time.
Yeah.
So-
About alignment. Yeah.
Mm.
Like alignment. First, yourself and your own values and your actions.
Exactly.
And then the people around you, are they aligned with you? And yeah, I've just realizing so like everything is about alignment. Maybe I'm
No, but it's true. I can
It's-
totally
yes,
understand that.
yeah. So
You need to have an anchor. I see goals, which are a form of alignment to yourself, I guess, to your core.
Mhm.
I see them as a very important anchor. You should always think about it when you do pretty much anything.
Yeah. So this align. How did you identify your core values? Yeah, who you are.
Well, I'm still doing that.
Yes, exactly. It's always like a changing process.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But it was a lot of trial and error. It was a lot of moving around because I think I said it at the beginning as well. I feel like every time you move to a new place, especially if it's a new country where you have the cultural layer and other new layers as well, it's like a new fresh start.
Yeah.
And that really, in my case, it helped me reshape my identity a bit all the time and just reflect.
Yeah.
And for example, living in the UK was a really, really, really eye-opening experience for me. And I really resonated with the culture too.
Oh yeah.
And I had some amazing colleagues that I worked with, and they were like my little British family. I don't usually use the word family when it comes to work, but I worked with some very special people at my job in the UK.
Yeah.
And that really made me be, because they're very, very authentic, all of them. And funnily enough, authenticity was a big part of our branding as well, of the beers that we were advertising.
So the people who work there
Yes.
are all authentic themselves.
Yeah. And I need to give a bit of context about Romania, which I love so much, and I love going back there all the time. But because of our history and communism and all that trauma, there's a lot of people are quite suspicious. They're not very trustworthy. Not to an extreme level, but there's that lingering doubts. Yes, there are those lingering doubts in the back of everyone's head. And I feel like that educate us not to open ourselves a lot and be even honest to ourselves.
Yeah, I
because
can
you extra.
relate.
Yeah,
Yes.
I actually wanted to talk
Yes,
about this
yes.
with you.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to the UK and I had these amazing colleagues at work, it really made me question all that and be a lot more open and a lot more vulnerable as
Yeah.
well. And that leads to reevaluating pretty much all my goals, to be honest. And that's how I ended up valuing honesty so much. I'm not saying that I wasn't valuing it in Romania, but it just took a different shape in the UK.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go into all my goals now, but my main goal, the main goal of my life, is to feel content with the occasional spikes of happiness. And the way I'm saying that is because I find happiness to be quite an extreme emotion. Like, you're happy when you get married, you're happy when, I don't know, you have your first kiss with your partner, or all these kinds of things. You can't be happy all the time, because I feel like media is feeding this, oh, be happy all the time, which is not realistic. And
Yes.
we wouldn't appreciate it if we would be happy all the time. But content is, for example, if I have a hard day at work, but I really delivered everything that I had to, and I did my best, and I worked hard, and maybe I meditated in the morning as well, and I went for a walk, cooked dinner, and didn't order.
Yes.
I feel very tired,
Content.
but very content.
Yes.
And that content over time is going to lead to happiness to a certain extent in different areas as well.
Yeah, fulfillment.
Yeah, fulfillment, exactly. But I find it very important, once you have these goals, at least in a shape or form, because exactly like you said, they evolve over time. It just makes everything a lot easier, including how you see life and how you act on it.
Yes.
But I'm curious what your goals are and how you find this motivation, I guess.
Yes, that was one of my questions to you as well, actually. I like you mentioned content, because this is a word that I also discovered last year. I think not like I don't know what it means.
No, but
last
the
year,
concept.
But yeah, like really connecting with it deeply. And I told you, like, I turned 30 and I felt very peaceful, and I felt like I'm exactly at where I'm supposed to be in life. And this is my story, and I'm okay with it. So that's, and I'm just trying to live every step like progressing incrementally.
That's so important.
Yeah. And that is contentment. Like, I'm not anymore looking to see, okay, someone else is better, or I just like, I'm fully okay with myself. Yeah,
That's
and
so
then that's
important. I'm so happy to hear
yeah,
that.
thank you. And that's yeah, and also connecting to my own history, and just felt like life makes sense to me now. And I'm just trying to live it out. Yeah, and it comes back to this idea of contentment, and long-term fulfillment
Of course.
comes from peacefulness. Yeah. Yeah, and not extreme emotions. Yeah, and bursts of energies, which is important once in a while. But yeah,
I think meditation helps a lot with this, and with navigating our emotions, basically.
So we mentioned this idea of alignment with others, alignment with self, and alignment with others. You said that community is something that's really important to you, and you are actively working on it right now. And is it something that always important to you, or it became important recently? And yeah.
So I think it was always important to me, but I didn't necessarily realize it. And imagine I grew up in a village where everybody knows everyone and
Yeah.
everybody's close connected, and I have a big family, and everybody, I was able to go to everyone's place like it was my place. I still do that when I go home.
Yeah.
I just go and chill with them while they cook,
Yeah.
or regardless if it's my neighbor or my aunt or whatever. And it's a very closed community.
Yeah.
And I feel like I was so excited because at 14 I had to leave home. I had to go in the city to go to high school there, and I was staying there during the week. And I was so excited, like, oh, I wanted big city life, and and friends, and I want to move out and go there and experience big city life. And then I moved to Bucharest, and then I moved to Cluj, another big city in Romania, and then I moved to London, which was the pinnacle of big cities. And when I was in London, I realized, because it's such a humongous city, and because I was living at the edge of London, and my friends were living all my friends, we were living so far away from each other. When we were meeting, which was only during the weekends, we were rarely meeting during the week after work. It was we actually had to plan it. It was taking me like 2 hours to commute all day, both ways. And you had to actually dedicate proper time to do that, to plan it.
And during this time you were working.
Yes,
full-time.
exactly. And it was so, and on top of that, the city, because it's such a big city, it felt so, in retrospective, because I still love London, and thankfully my job is there, so I just fly there once a month from here, which is awesome. But in retrospective, and I was noticing that now when I went to the office 2 weeks ago, it's so impersonal. It's just a bunch of people that are so individualistic, and they just mind their own business. And of course, that doesn't mean that we all need to talk to each other and all that, but I feel like it's so important for having a fulfilled life to have those strong connections around you. And something that I really love about Luxembourg, I think I told you earlier as well, Luxembourg is where I want to retire. This is it. I'm not moving anywhere else. I love Luxembourg because you have it's
everyone
very safe.
knows each other.
Everybody knows each other, first of all. It's a small city. It's very safe. It's very clean. The government really takes care of its people when it comes to public transport. I mean, we have it for free. That's amazing. And it's super clean and
ridiculous.
Right? And reliable. And I love how, even to come here, although we live fairly far from each other, it took me 40 minutes. That's what fairly far means in
exactly.
With the rest of my friends, I live in Bonnevo, we meet in I write them now, and I'm like, oh, let's meet at Intense Coffee Shop. And we meet there in 15 minutes after we talk. I mean, how awesome is that? And I feel like proximity as well is such a huge factor in it. And something else that I really love, I'm going to talk shortly about it. There was this event when I moved where the city organized this event for newcomers where you were able to meet your neighbors and learn more about the city. It was so cool. That, I was really impressed with it. And I feel like community is so important for our, as I said earlier, for our fulfillment, for our content, to have those connections, because you have your family maybe, or that's not always the case. I have a friend that I met just before coming here, and he has no family. So the community he's building is his only support network, because we're not made to be on our own. And I find it so important and so sad that now, with capitalism and with the liberal real estate market, we just live in huge buildings without knowing our neighbors, and I find that really sad.
I think I don't really know my neighbors that well. So it seems like your journey, you grew up in a close-knit community, and then when you moved to London, you realize you actually have to actively working on planning activities and having your community together. And when you move to Luxembourg, you kind of find this familiarity of
My
a
village.
close, yes, village, but
With
also
a much higher
GDP.
GDP.
Yes. Yeah, so it's kind of like you found this balance
Yes.
here. And what are some ways you're working towards building your community and what your community should look like? Yeah.
So it's still work in progress, of
Yeah.
course. And although I love Luxembourg so much, the downside is that a lot of people just come and go.
Yes, that's
You don't have
yeah.
that consistency all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm doing to meet people is, for example, I did this event I was using this app called Time Left, where every Wednesday you were meeting with 5 strangers and you were having dinner with them.
Oh, okay. What's it?
Time Left. It's a very cool app.
Okay,
It's
I
a
will
very
look
cool app.
into it.
It's really nice, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a lot of amazing people there as well, including my best friend from here from Luxembourg, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I met just before
he
coming
lives
here.
here.
Yeah, he lives 10 minutes away from here.
Yeah, we're all gonna be friends.
Exactly.
Yes.
He's awesome. I think you would love him on your podcast.
Yes.
And I do that. I go out by myself. Like I go to the library or I go to coffee shops, and I always end up talking to people and connecting to people quite organically.
Yeah.
And you feel if there's a connection, the way we felt during lunch. And
Yeah.
I liked what you were saying as well.
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, I'm definitely gonna write her afterwards. I want to
Yeah.
connect.
Uh-huh.
And it's a numbers game. We're going back to data, you know.
Yes.
I'm exposing myself as much as possible to meet as
Yeah.
many people as possible now that
Yeah.
I'm in this period of still building my community.
Yeah.
And now I started having a pretty strong community already. I have a few good friends that I'm connected, like
Yeah.
I have deep connections with.
Yeah.
And I still want to work on it.
Yeah.
But I think that what's key is to get out there and to have your list of priorities very on point, the way we talked earlier.
Yeah, you know what you're looking for.
Yes.
And then you're trying to meet the people who have these qualities.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And in my case, for example, I'm taking an interest in art now, and I have some friends that are in this architectural area.
Okay, you know, I did architecture.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it makes sense, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so. Oh, I want you to meet someone then.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to be open-minded as well to capture different interests too. But having those things written down like curiosity, authenticity, kindness, it's easy to filter through everyone.
Yes,
And then it's trial and error. You meet them more and more, and you go out more and more and see if it works out, and you go from there.
Yeah.
And
nice.
something else that I want to mention here is that I feel like we're not taught to actually work on our relationships, regardless if they're romantic or friendships.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, and I want to give the example of my friendship with Joe, my best friend. So we actively work on our friendship. We're always very clear if, for example, we were talking about something a while back, and we were talking about a fairly serious topic, and he said something and I corrected him. Like with his English, we always do that with English or French just because we want to get better at it. And he told me very direct, please don't do that when I talk about something.
Yes,
so
I think you mentioned
yeah,
it last
yeah.
time. Yes.
And he said it very directly, like, look, please don't do that when I'm talking about something seriously because I don't like it. He gave me some arguments, and because we talked about this so much before and we had this kind of encounters before, I know his intent. I know he's not malicious. He's just telling me about his needs, which I appreciate a lot, and I know how to adapt, and I do the same from my side.
Yeah.
And this is just a small example, but communication and working on your communication and on your relationship is so important.
Exactly. Yes, I think I relate to I was also not taught to work on your relationships. It was always natural, and then
which doesn't always work.
Yes, doesn't always work, and I think I definitely also learned through time that, okay, people don't stay with you if you don't work work on the
Yeah.
relationship. It takes work, and but relationships bring so much value
Definitely.
to our lives, and it's so important to keep them also. Yes.
And it all resumes to love in the end. Loving your
Yeah.
friends, your partner, your family, and love is
Yeah.
not a feeling. Love
Yeah.
is a practice.
Yeah,
You
and
need to
also
work on it.
as humans, we need to feel like we belong to like
Oh,
a
yeah,
community
definitely.
also. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And your community, do you think you have separate communities, or you are having like one big community that you plan to bring together people?
So at the moment they're fairly divided because I'm still
Exploring.
testing. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
still because I'm still fairly new in Luxembourg, but my goal is to bring everyone together. And I already started like
Connecting.
yes. Connecting some people. Like even on Saturday, I'm gonna have a dinner with my best friend Joe, and another friend of mine. And I did this before.
Yeah.
Like connecting people like this. But yeah, it's trial and error.
Yeah.
It really is trial and error. I mean, I'm still in a beginning phase somehow.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
But I'm really optimistic about it. I think Luxembourg is awesome
Yes.
when it comes to building communities. It's a really fertile ground for that.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is reputation is like your rumors can spread like everywhere.
Yeah, but that's
Also.
I think that's a good thing somehow, in the way that when you're part of a community, you have to watch yourself somehow, but I'm saying it in a good way.
Yeah.
You need to,
like
I mean, it makes
accountable.
you accountable. Yeah, exactly. That's the word. You're accountable. And I think that's a good thing.
Yes, yeah.
I really think that's a good thing. I was actually reflecting on this when it comes to my village, because in my village, you can do a lot of bad things because people are going to find out immediately. So there's that accountability, which I find it, of course, you can see it as a negative thing, and it has its negative parts as well. But I think it's so important to have that accountability.
Yes, I think definitely. I actually started a meetup group.
Nice.
Yes. Like we were talking about identify first what you are looking for, what I identified what I'm looking for, and one core thing I'm looking for is growth. Personal growth.
I can tell.
And so I started this meetup group called Personal Development Through Atomic Habits.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then like people who came are like actually appreciative of the social accountability, because if we want to grow, we have to hold ourselves accountable, and hold ourselves accountable for the community around us as well. Yeah,
and care about the others.
Yeah, and having a community also helps with the accountability. Yeah, which is very nice. This social contract, which I think in
social contract.
Like that. And I think in big cities tend to like maybe people get lost because you can always meet new people.
Yes.
And there's always new people to meet.
It's not the case in Luxembourg.
Yes. which I'm also liking. Yes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. So so we talked about community, about relationship, about work, career. What do you think success mean to you? Like, what does success mean for you personally?
Oh, what a nice question. So I feel like we're tempted to, when we say success, to automatically think like financial
monetary
gains, yes, money, houses, cars. And don't get me wrong, that's a part of it. I like comfort. So I definitely want my job or my professional life to because we're spending so much time there, it's a very big part of my definition of success, because I want to take content of it and occasional spikes of happiness, but also enough monetary reward in order for my life to be comfortable.
Yeah.
My goal is not to become a billionaire, millionaire, or something like that, but I want to be comfortable, have my own space, be able to do my hobbies, and I'm actually adopting a minimalist lifestyle lately as well. So in terms of tangible objects, it wouldn't be as much, but it's the comfort needs to be there. It's something important.
Yeah.
And also a family and a community, because as you said, people are so important.
Yeah.
And after you cover those basic needs that are, realistically speaking, are covered by the financial part, being able to have a place where you can sleep comfortably, eat healthy, and cover all those basic needs, I think the next layer is family and community.
Yeah.
The way I see success for me is having a partner and having kids one day, and a strong community besides that I can rely on. And I would love to be surrounded by nature. It's something very important for me. And I think that's how I would summarize success in the future for me. It's something that I'm not actively working towards having a family, for example. But what I can do now at my age is work towards covering these basic needs and being financially stable for the future as well.
Yeah.
Building my community and my family
if it comes. Yes,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't I'm aware that, I don't know, maybe it's not going to happen, or it's going to happen later. I'm just trying to take things the way you said it.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process and take things one at a time. And
of
course, we have limited time. Like you said, you need to pick your battles.
Yes.
But that's my idea of success, the way I see it in my mind at the moment.
Yeah. So balanced. So
yeah.
Speaking of people and community, and what are some red flags you look for in people?
Well, I don't look for them. I just try to notice them.
Yes. What are some red flags you can, just in people in general? Like, okay, I don't want. Yeah.
I think people that are not kind, like people that are excessively judgy, I would say, and that are quite negative. So if I would have to clearly define them, one would be negativity, because I think that the world we see creates the world we live in. So if you're negative, I don't want that.
Yeah, it's
around
almost
me.
like a self-fulfilling
prophecy.
Yes.
Exactly. That's a very good way of putting it. And lack of authenticity, which comes with, I don't know, exaggerated stories or bragging.
Yeah, putting on a show, kind of.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of area. And I mentioned something else at the beginning. I don't remember what it was. But I think these would be the main ones.
Yeah. So
lack of authenticity. Yeah, dishonesty, lack of authenticity, and negativity.
Yeah. But how do you tell though? Like, are there, because
trial and error. And it's also, I think the gut feeling is a very important one here, because you for example, when we went for lunch, it was such a natural interaction, and it felt so calm. It happened to me a lot of times to meet someone and just it didn't feel right. I felt somehow restless.
Something's off.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you experience?
Yeah,
that
definitely.
Before?
But I think personally, I have a lot of self-doubt, and I give a lot of second chances. I can't trust because sometimes, okay, turns out this person is actually nice, And then they just didn't leave a good first impression. So I tend to like give a few times
I
and
like that. It's
get
trial and error.
yeah, and then yeah, but then the problem with that is, okay, you're kind of attached already, like in the friendship, or like you
That's a
already
good
put
point.
in the work of, and then you now have to like suddenly stop it. Yeah, so I'm also trying to like find the balance between, okay, giving the person the benefit of doubt and let them show who they are, and also yeah, trusting more my gut instinct
Yeah.
as well.
I
Yeah.
like that.
A lot of times the gut instinct turns out to be right as well.
It's really interesting. Apparently,
Yeah.
we actually have neurons in our stomach.
Mm.
And it's related to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I find it so interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, at least in my case with age, I really try to rely more on that gut feeling. I feel like it's very, very useful.
It's it's more accurate than not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I want us to go back a bit to your definition of success, because I wanted to ask you that.
Wow. Yes.
A lot of robots.
Yes.
All of them.
I think I reflected on this a lot. I think I want to contribute. Yeah, definitely the financial aspect is important. I need to cover my basic needs and like feel comfortable. But the way I see it is I see it as a foundation. You know, like a lot of things. My life was very unstable. Like my entire life has been very unstable, and I realized how important stability can bring, because you can have it as a foundation to build on top. Yeah, so like building the block of friends, building the block of work, career, and then build the block of like financial, and then build, and then you know, it's like all like building blocks. Yeah, so stability is definitely important. I want to be stable myself and be able to provide stability to my family. Like the family I came from, and hopefully the family I want to build. Yeah, so that's the foundation. Yeah, and then I think in terms of what I want to do on top of that is I want to contribute. Like I think I'm
to society.
Yes, and to even to the community, or like to yeah, I haven't figured out exactly like what is the best. I mean, this podcast is an attempt of trying to contribute to other people's life and my life
I love
as
that.
well. Yeah, so to contribute in a way that's authentic to me also. Yeah, to manifest my value, my what's in my brain, my inner world, to the world in a meaningful way. Yeah, so if I can do that and manage to contribute to a group of people, I think that will be success.
Nice. That's
To
such a
me.
nice definition
Yes.
of success. I like it.
Yeah.
I can relate to it.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Yeah, contribution. I think a lot of times, I mean, when I was young, or when we were young, success is more ego driven.
Yes.
For me, for sure. Like, okay, external validation. Okay, I achieved this. But now I'm shifting to. I still have an ego, but shifting to aligning my ego with a greater good. I think. Yeah, it doesn't bring fulfillment if I'm successful in terms of external validations.
Of course, it's not sustainable.
Yes.
It really isn't sustainable on the long term.
Yeah, so it's less ego-driven and more community-driven. Nice,
I really like that.
Yeah, so we're aligned.
Yeah,
in terms of
definitely.
that.
Definitely.
Yes.
So important. So
Yes.
important.
Okay, so that was such a great conversation.
I loved
Yeah.
it.
Thank you so much for coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to, you review your notes. I want to show you the table.
Yes. Just, okay.
Okay. So I won't remove this. Now you have to lift this.
Lift what?
Lift.
Oh, that's crazy. What material is this that's so durable?
This is carbon fiber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard of it before, but I'm not. I think we should move it a bit more.
Yes.
I can't believe you've done this. This is so cool.
Yeah, it was won by 2 robots.
And do they like build it 3D or in pieces?
Yes, so it's my master thesis project. I worked with 2 people. This I can talk about.
This is very cool that you're starting this.
Yes.
And that your podcast is on your master thesis.
Yes. So so this is carbon fiber. So we wound it. Like it was soft,
Okay.
like string.
I can see the texture.
Yes. Yeah. So what we did was we wound it on the plane, like 2D, and then we pulled it up as a 3D structure.
Oh.
Yeah. So we kind of knitted it in 2D and then pull up, and then once it dries, it forms into like this incredibly strong structure.
Yeah, and it's so light.
Yes,
it's so light.
Yes,
you
and
use it,
like this is much lighter than the top of
definitely.
the glass. Yeah.
But it's wow, this is very, very impressive. Do you use this at work as well? I imagine it's being very efficient. So.
Yeah, so it's funny, like I wanted to work with this material, and then I did the thesis on this, and then I got a job in this in Luxembourg.
No way. So is it exactly what's the material again?
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber.
Yes.
I'm gonna write it down because I feel like I'm gonna read about it tonight.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard of it before.
So the advantage of this material is like it's incredibly strong, but super light. Yeah, so they use a lot in like space industry or automotive, like high performance fields where you need the structural integrity, but also the lightness. Yes. Yeah.
And about this knot, did you build it on like levels? Like, was this the first level, and then you let it dry, and you?
Yeah, this was actually pulled up all at once.
So all at once, not on levels.
No. Like, everything was projected down to a 2D plane, and then we pulled it up.
And you added this afterwards. These knuckles here.
These knuckles were wound.
So they were still in the 2D plan.
Imagine like you're knitting like string, and then you put these 2 together and around, like, and then in the end you pull it up.
That is so cool. I would totally watch a video about that.
We have a video about it. Yeah, I edited it.
Is it internal? Can you share it?
Yes, I think this I can share. I mean, I have the video myself. Yes.
That's so cool. I would be really interested to see it. It sounds very cool process.
Yes.
And the fact that I know you and you made this, it's really nice.
Yeah, I think we can go into furniture industry or something.
Yes, exactly. Now that I'm looking for rent, especially,
yeah,
we can definitely design some furniture for me.
Yes, this would be great for furniture. Imagine like when
I
you
can
move.
carry it by myself.
Yes, actually, this was in Stuttgart. I
Mhm.
made it in. We made it in Stuttgart, and then I was like, I want this, and then I took it on the train, next to me.
Was it still 2D or?
No, it was 3D, but it's
Okay.
really light. Yeah.
It really is. It's
Yeah. So
absurdly light.
it's like it's not hard to carry around.
Yeah, it's probably like
so
the weight of the mug that I was drinking from. It's,
Yes,
it's
yes.
amazing.
Speaking of
Oh.